Hello friends, it's me, and today let's watch Game Theory, the lore of Roblox pressure, explained, yes, finally, from the game theorist. Together, let's go, let's start. Thank you.
Roblox has a knockoff problem. If you search for any successful Roblox title, you'll find dozens, even hundreds, of other poorly made knockoff versions trying to capitalize off their success. However, occasionally, a game that might have started as just another clone will grow and develop into its own thing, with new mechanics, new creatures, and of course, new lore. And today, we're going to be diving into the lore of one of those successes, Pressure.
Game Theory.
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Game Theory, the show that's here to kick down doors and make theories. And I'm all out of doors. Not to worry.
Doors! Hello Internet, welcome to Game Theory. Hello. Let's begin.
Because between the releases of the classic Roblox game Doors, another challenger entered the ring to try its hand at the door-opening horror genre. I am, of course, talking about Pressure. You guys have been begging me to check out this game for months, and you really seem to like our recent Roblox theory, so I figured it was time to finally dive in and see what all the hype was about. Sorry it took me so long. Pressure is a multiplayer horror game that tasks you with navigating a series of randomized passageways, obstacles, and monsters one door at a time. So it's just the same as Doors, right? Wrong, because this time it's underwater. Well, and it has a ton of new monsters that introduce new mechanics to the genre. Things like dodging the feet of giant mechanoid monsters in the open ocean while solving puzzles, digging for research files while hiding from anglers. Oh, so many anglers. And instantly regretting activating the imaginary friend remote, which meant having to ignore this guy for the rest of my playthrough. This game is just oozing with atmosphere and interesting details. And you know what that means? Lore. But I'm here with my theory jar to scoop it all up. So slap on your scuba suits, theorists, and take a deep breath as we literally dive into the murky depths of Roblox Pressure.
So what I think is, it is quite unique. Although it comes from a bit of a reference from Doors, I believe, maybe I'm wrong, but using the underwater reference is very clever because there's something called sea monster in which we real life individuals, we still call them real life sea monsters. Granted, a couple decades or a couple centuries later, our descendants will prove us wrong, but for now, we will call them sea monsters because they are so weird looking and they are so uncommon, and the common folks, me and you, don't know what we don't know. We don't know some of them exist or not, and yeah, sea monsters. Literally, monsters.
Beginning of the game, we learn that we are an inmate of a high-security prison, and a corporation called Urban Shade is looking for volunteers to retrieve a crystal that they were unable to secure in a recent security breach at their facility, the Hadel Black Site. If we are able to return the crystal and any other classified documents that were lost in the breach, we'll be pardoned of all of our crimes, and get this, we'll even receive a cash reward. Sounds like a sweet deal. Well, until we're greeted with this message in big bold red letters that says, you are expendable. You are not expected to return. So just your standard HR message, really. No, Rachel, please, I'm sorry. But of course, we didn't log in expecting hugs and dental plans. And I'm pretty sure the monsters in the vents definitely skipped orientation anyway. From here, we convicts pile into a submarine and dive into the ocean to head to an underwater hangar. We get out of the submarine and hear a voice over the intercom reminding us to retrieve the crystal along with any loose assets. And just like that, the submarine submerges and the only way out is forward. This is where we start to see that initial Doors inspiration coming in. We progress through every randomized, definitely not OSHA approved room, ransacking the drawers for key cards, items, and confidential files that double as currency, all with the goal of getting to the next door. And the deeper we go, the worse it gets. We avoid the giant feet of underwater Roombas with anger issues, we repair equipment while being hunted by fish hook-laden squid monsters, and eventually we reach the control room, which houses houses the oh-so-precious crystal that's just floating there in the middle of the room like it wants to be stolen. We yank it out, repair even more cables, load into a submarine, and launch out of the facility, ultimately ending up with a black screen that says we delivered the crystal to a, quote, old, decrepit, and disgusting-looking man in a wheelchair. Our record has been expunged, and the money has been delivered into an account for our use. Whew, that was a lot to unpack, but you can see what I mean about how this isn't just another Doors clone. It adds a lot of very interesting elements that differentiate it. However, there is one more thing that they do share. A lot of unanswered questions. Like, where the heck are we in all of this? Who is Urban Shade? What is the significance of the crystal? And most importantly, how the heck does this guy fit through those vents with that giant eel whale tail of his? That last one keeps me up at night most of all. But I think I have a big enough shovel to unearth the answers to these questions. Let's start with the classic game theory starting question. Where are we? Sure, we're underwater in a military bunker sort of situation, but there is a glaring detail that doesn't make that explanation quite so straightforward. Throughout the game, we're often put into situations where we need to go dive outside of the facility. I mean, for the final fight, we're running away from giant squid monsters in an extraordinarily deep part of the ocean, and it's worth noting that being at those sorts of depths would crush a person due to the extreme atmospheric pressure. But we seem to be fine when we jump in with just some goggles and a prayer, so what's up? Well, throughout the facility...
I think possibly, exoskeleton. Or you're forever encased in armor. You know, like an Iron Man armor.
We can find entire dossiers dedicated to key locations and items. One such dossier discusses a part of the ocean called Let Van Zone, an area discovered deep in the Norwegian Sea in the early 1960s. Due to a barrier surrounding that area, the Let Van Zone has the same water pressure as your normal swimming pool, despite being located over 18,000 meters deep. According to the file, this caught the attention of the corporation Urban Shade, the same folks that hired us to come to the facility in the first place, and they swooped in to secure the area for themselves. But what's more interesting to me is that we've actually seen the same thing happen in our own history. In the 1960s, natural gas was discovered in the Netherlands, and it started a frantic scramble from countries like Norway, the UK, and Denmark to lay claim to areas of not the Norwegian Sea, but the Norwegian sector of the neighboring sea, the North Sea, which, not so coincidentally, is home to its own deep trench, commonly referred to as the Norwegian Trench, or the Norwegian Channel, or my personal favorite, Yar, the Norway Deep. Now, while companies could not just dive into an ocean and plant a flag on the seafloor like it was a checkpoint, they could bid for drilling licenses from the countries that had coasts along the North Sea. And after much drilling, one of the companies that attained a license from the Norwegian government, the Phillips Petroleum Company, later discovered the largest oil deposit in the North Sea, now called the Ekofisk oil fields. This region has one of the largest oil caches in the world, and in fact has so much oil that the same company, now branded the ConocoPhillips Company, is still drilling there to this day with a license to drill until 2048. All of this is identical to what we're seeing with Urban Shade in the 1960s, with them claiming the Let Van Zone. From here, Urban Shade is extracting resources from this area they're calling the Ridge in the Let Van Zone. We even see them revolutionizing energy in the region, just like Phillips did with its discovery of the Ekofisk oil field. Urban Shade's version is just way cooler because, you know, crystals. However, this crystal wasn't just sitting on the sea floor waiting to be dug up. According to the classified documents about the Ridge, we can find that this video is sponsored by Factor. Wait, how did they know? Well, maybe it's because Factor would be the perfect option for all the players trying to survive down here. When you have monsters chasing you constantly, every minute counts. There isn't time to prepare a proper tasty meal, but with Factor, you get high quality, nutritionally balanced, pre-made meals that can be ready to eat in just 2 minutes. And Factor puts the control into your hands with 35 options to choose from, as well as snacks, breakfast, smoothies, and juices. So if you're tired of eating whatever random mutated fish happens to be swimming by, you can just let Factor know that you don't want to include fish, and they'll deprioritize it in your next shipment. Easy. Plus, Factor now offers Gourmet Plus meals featuring premium ingredients like truffle butter, shrimp, and is that filet mignon in this economy? Yes. Yes, and it's good too, not dry or tough even after reheating. So if you're looking to survive in a bunker 2,000 feet under the sea, or if you just want to have some tasty and affordable meals in the comfort of your own home, then head on over to factor75.com or click the link below and use code 50GameTheory to get 50% off, plus free shipping on your first Factor box. That's 50GameTheory at factor75.com for 50% off plus free shipping. But now that my body is fully fed, it's time to feed my brain with some more lore. Let's see.
Alright, so thank you so much for supporting the game theorists in this video. Thank you. Thank you so much.
What this classified document can tell us about the Ridge. In 1967, after the discovery of Thor's corpse and subsequently Z1, the crystal, the Ridge was chosen as its new home. And to be clear, Thor's corpse isn't just a clever name they gave to a rock formation or something. They're talking about the actual Norse god. In one of the rooms of the facility, you can find this big green hammer surrounded by lightning, and it's called Thor's hammer. It even says that it's too heavy to carry. This Thor they're talking
Wait. Is it Mjolnir or is it Stormbreaker? I'm sorry. The Thor have two different hammers.
about is the real deal. It's also an interesting choice of words after the discovery of Thor's corpse and subsequently Z1. So first of all, I guess rip Thor, but secondly, by discovering Thor's corpse, they also discovered the crystal. So what is the connection between these two things? Was he wearing some sort of cosmic crystal bling? Was he using the crystal as some sort of powerful energy source? Or was it just a cosmic souvenir keychain he picked up on his way out of existence? Well, theorists, given that
questions, how did Thor die? Of old age? Even if it's old age, it takes thousands, if not tens of thousands of years for Thor to GG. Or killed. By who?
has already used some pretty direct connections to real-world history with its location, let's see if real-world history has anything to say about crystals from this area. Lo and behold, yes it does. If you take a look back at Nordic, and specifically Viking history, you'll find that crystals actually played a big role in those who worshipped the Norse gods like Thor. You see, jewelry was used for much more than just show for the Vikings. Crystals served different uses for people and symbolized power. For instance, sunstone was basically used as a compass stone that helped seafarers find the sun on foggy days, while other crystals like citrine were used to attract good fortune. Analyzing the footage of the crystal we see in the game, we can see that it is a light pinkish color, which is most commonly associated with rose quartz. This type of crystal in Nordic history was associated with healing, especially emotional healing, and is often referred to as the heart crystal. And when you take a closer look at the crystal, it also looks strikingly similar to an actual heart. It has an asymmetrical shape, which is rather unlike the symmetry we'd find in stereotypical crystal, and it has tubes on either end, just like the aortic valves on the top and the inferior vena cava on the bottom. I also don't think it's a coincidence that the crystal now sits at the very center of the logo for Urban Shade itself, and is housed in the heart of the facility, powering everything throughout the black site.
I mean, what a coincidence? Sorry.
These signs point us in one direction. It looks like rose quartz, which is associated with the heart. It's shaped like a heart, and it's found with the corpse of Thor. I'm just gonna say it. This thing is the actual heart of Thor. He is a god after all. We don't know whether their bodies are like ours or whether they're something else entirely. And honestly, it being his literal heart explains a lot, like why it's glowing with god tier power. Nothing says power source like the literal heart of the god of thunder, now just being casually hauled around in a leaky substation swarmed by monsters. It's no wonder the company wants the crystal back so badly. They literally had the power of a Norse god in their hands. And this, my friends, set the stage for Urban Shade to start branching out into different ventures. You see, every time you die in this game, you wake up in a dark room to meet the shining eyes of one of the game's main characters, Sebastian, who hands you a full-on document revealing specific details about the monster that just killed you. Problem is, most of it is classified, as in in the information is covered in black bars. At least at first.
Sorry.
The more times you die from said monster, the more information is revealed, which is kind of a sweet deal for us lore hunters, and I am determined to die my way to the truth. So, by dying a bajillion times, we learn that over the next 50 years following the initial discovery of the crystal, Urban Shade began creating and refining experimental weapon initiatives, like the BUPWM program, where they turned bull sharks into the monster eye festations that can telepathically compel their victims to make eye contact with them and melt their brains at just a glance. In another program, they experimented on an alien life form they acquired from a meteor in 1991, using the alien life form's body to make acid bullets. Now, thankfully, there aren't any rogue oil companies that started conducting weapons experiments underwater that we know of. But Urban Shade's actions are reminiscent of very real government organizations, especially those carrying out covert and morally questionable experimentation during that same time period. During the Cold War, the US and USSR were looking for any means necessary to tactically one-up one another. For instance, the CIA
Cough, cough. I'm swore.
enacted Project MK Ultra, a program that sought to control the human mind through the utilization of drugs like LSD, conducting their experiments on, wait for it, prisoners. Of course, they weren't able to actually control minds. Instead, they just destroyed lives and did lasting permanent damage to those test subjects who survived. And once again, this is exactly what we're seeing with Urban Shade. The only difference is that they've not been found out yet. But given MK Ultra did eventually get caught due to some poor paperwork filings, I wouldn't be as confident as they are.
No one is going to believe you anyway.
Especially when you've got Sebastian here giving us all of your secret files, because just like MK Ultra, he too was once a human experiment that is now suffering the long-term consequences. According to his entries in 2013, Sebastian Solis was convicted of murder, and he was going to be put to death. That is, until Urban Shade decided he would be a great candidate for their top secret experiments. And you can see how far they were willing to go, because you don't exactly grow a whale tail just by eating your vitamins. Clearly, Urban Shade's human gills experiment was a success, allowing Sebastian to breathe underwater, and he was then relegated to the subaquatic maintenance team thereafter. However, Urban Shade later discovered that Sebastian was wrongfully convicted, but they just chose to keep that information from him. Classy, Urban Shade, real classy. Now, you'd think despite the horrible experimentation, Sebastian basically had a cozy 9-to-5 maintenance gig, fixing cables and offering motivational quotes between near-death experiences. But no, we learned from his file that after feigning the effects of anesthesia, Z13 Sebastian pretended to succumb and woke up unguarded during transport, and proceeded to release as many monsters as possible from their containment cells, causing a site-wide lockdown. That's right, the man who debriefs us after every one of our deaths in the game is responsible for all of them to begin with. And no wonder, right? This is an innocent man who got absolutely wrecked by a shadowy organization, turned into an eel whale Jack Cousteau, and then tossed into the underwater equivalent of IT support. I'd be mad too, though his motivation for sabotage.
Yeah, it literally destroys your normal, common day, everyday life, and like, sorry, that's not fine. No. No. Sorry.
The facility makes sense. It turns out he might not actually be acting alone. After our first demise, Sebastian tells us that he's simply following orders, and the disclosure is sus to say the least. He was very specific about how much information I could share with you though. It's stupid, I know, his orders, not mine. He basically just shrugs and says, sorry, boss's orders. Who is the boss? Well, take a closer look in the background. Do you see it? A pair of eyes on the left-hand side of the screen constantly staring at Sebastian. And these aren't just any eyes either. They match the character model for another one of the monsters we encounter during the game. If you stray too far in multiplayer and get left behind by your squad, you encounter something weird, like mysterious suit-wearing Shadow Man with a cane. Weird. Let me introduce you all to Mr. Lopi. You can never outrun him, and after a short jump scare and some damage, he will just teleport you back to your group. However, if the damage is enough to kill you, you'll be debriefed by Sebastian once again. At least you'll get to learn something about him, right? Not this time!
Alright, what was it? I can't show you that document. Don't get left behind next time, yeah?
That's odd, right? Sebastian debriefs us on everything that kills us, even when we're killed by enemies whose files are basically fully redacted. Sebastian still shows us something, but not when it comes to Mr. Lopi. Almost as if he is the guy standing watching over, controlling how much information we get to learn. And he doesn't want us learning anything about him. So, who is Mr. Lopi? And why does he make Sebastian's tail twitch? It all comes down to titles. In Pressure, titles matter a lot. They're not just names, they're like underwater resumes with a DC comic flair. Sebastian wasn't just fixing pipes, he was the handyman. And after unleashing Monster Mayhem, he got promoted to the Saboteur. Even the creatures get in on the branding, like the Angler variant nicknamed Chain Smoker thanks to its charming habit of exhaling like a chimney. So when you first encounter Mr. Lopi and we see that he is known as the Mysterious Benefactor, you can easily gather two things. One, this guy is a big deal. And two, you're probably about to regret meeting him. In case you don't know, a benefactor is someone or something that provides help or an advantage, especially a person who makes a gift. So this means Mr. Lopi likely gave something to Urban Shade at some point, making him a benefactor. Another helpful clue about our mysterious and murderous benefactor comes from Pressure's creator, Zeal, who revealed Mr. Lopi died sometime in the 1960s, which means he was around when Urban Shade was just getting started with the building of the Hadal Black site in the Let Van Zone. But the most revealing information about Mr. Lopi comes from his iconic badge, his ability to no-clip through walls, and his similar bell jingle. Because all of these things are shared with another fictional character from something called the Interloper ARG. The Interloper ARG is a web series related to Half-Life and other Valve franchises, where a mysterious man holding an umbrella pursues and
G-Man!
kills characters for trespassing in parts of the game that are normally inaccessible, just like Mr. Lopi is doing with players who are lagging too far behind. And the similarities between Umbrella Man and Mr. Lopi don't stop there. The Umbrella Man character is modeled on the G-Man from Half-Life, as we covered in a very
I knew it! G-Man! Okay, that reference is uncanny.
old theory. The G-Man is a creature known as a Nihilith, disguised as a human. Now, Nihiliths are an alien species that have a slew of powers, including the ability to teleport, which we see Mr. Lopi doing when he catches us lagging behind our group, even creating the signature burst of green light the G-Man is famous for in the Half-Life games. Nihiliths can also manipulate time and space by placing folks in and out of stasis dimensions. This explains why we're able to die in a facility over and over again, replaying the same day repeatedly like we're in some sort of time loop. With the Nihilith's powers of time and space manipulation, Mr. Lopi can take us to a different dimension after we die, sit us down with Sebastian for a snarky TED talk on the reasons for our failure, and then send us back to try again. But the biggest lore connection is that the G-Man is responsible for supplying an experimental facility with a mysterious and extremely powerful crystal. Coincidence? Please. This evidence suggests that Mr. Lopi, much like other experiments in this facility, is actually an all-powerful alien species. One who yanked Thor's heart out of his chest like the High Priest in Temple of Doom, gifted it to Urban Shade in 1967.
So you're trying to tell me that for whatever reasons, human god Thor Odinson lost to aliens? Sorry.
Him, their mysterious benefactor. Sure, the game's creator said Mr. Lopi died in the 1960s, but when you have the power to control time and space, death is more of a technicality, isn't it? And judging by Mr. Lopi's ongoing work with Sebastian, it appears he has more in store for Urban Shade. Will he be trying to shut the whole thing down like we predicted with MK Ultra, giving us more files to blow this whole thing wide open? Or is he only going to make things worse? I guess we'll just have to wait and see in future updates. In the meantime, theorists, remember, that's just a theory. A game theory! Thanks for watching. World premiere on Game Theory. One of these characters is the key to all the lore inside Roblox Forsaken.
Alright, so thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed this game theory from the game theorists about a game from Roblox, which, as I'm recording this right now, things aren't looking so good. Cough, cough. Hope you enjoy! But hey, that's just a theory, a game theory. Thanks for watching. Bye bye. Subscribe, subscribe. Thank you, thank you. Subscribe, subscribe. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, camera. Yes. Oh, perfect. Click it right. Click it right. Today is a Wednesday, so next shave will be on Saturday, 6th of September 2025. Yeah. Oh, fun fact, I included. Oh no, it dropped. Ta-da. Himidoki. Thank you. Thank you. I was wearing the One Punch Man outfit.